Hello, Brian. This is Tim from the class, and I actually watched your video and I thoroughly enjoyed your video on coaching the squat. I actually like the level of detail you went into with that and the kettlebell swing. So, my alternative to your box squat or to your barbell squat would be the goblet squat. And I would use the squat for someone who is not yet strong enough, maybe a beginner, or someone who is relatively an intermediate or advanced lifter, but needs to be able to keep their chest up. Keep that neutral spine that you mentioned in the video. So I think what the goblet squat does is teach someone to stay upright, as long as the kettlebell is pushed against their collarbone, how I normally have my people do. Um, so I already mentioned that's really appropriate for a specific audience or for people for specific purposes, either beginners or someone that needs some kind of corrective mechanical movement. Some common cues that you could really use for this are going to be very similar to what you use for your barbell squat. So if the knees cave in, if the upper back is rounding, if the person's holding the weight too far away. Let's say I work backward from the knees caving in, I would tell them to tear the floor in half or push the knees out. If their upper back is rounding, I would have them keep the kettlebell from drifting too far from their body, and I would have them. Say it's a kettlebell, and not or even a dumbbell. I'd have them hold it like a goblet and then push it against their chest or their upper torso, closer to their neck, because the closer the mass is to them, the more easily they'll be able to stay upright. But they're still going against the extra mechanical tension that the resistance is providing on them. Now, I will say I did enjoy your video, um, but one critique I have, and it's not really a bad thing, because I think you did very well with coaching both your movements, but I would like to have seen a little more cueing on if something goes wrong in the squat. So I didn't see a whole lot of cueing to make sure the person's staying where they need to stay in the squat. So at the very bottom, on their way up, if their knees begin to cave in, you could tell them, push your knees out or tear the floor in half. I didn't see a whole ton of that, but your technique with the squat is actually really good. Um, Now, interestingly enough, what I was really not surprised by, because you seem pretty smart, I actually was very interested in the movement you use with the towel, basically to force them to use their hips. I am assuming that forces them to apply some sort of pressure through their hip and not really swing it in the air with their arms, but rather the trajectory of the towel, how it swings, will tell you if they're applying the proper movement pattern the right way, depending on where the towel flops. Because I've never actually seen that done before, so that's really awesome. So yeah, excellent job coaching the squat. My suggestion would be, for an alternative, the goblet squat.